All right, here we go again. Check up. Good afternoon. Yo. Refresh your browsers, y'all, because today is Thursday, February 9th, 2012. And you're listening to Room 3026 Live. Thank you. Episode 462. It's a mixed conversation ranging from technology to pop culture, and I'm your host, Damond Nollan. We're broadcasting live right here in Durham, North Carolina. It is lunch hour in the Onyx Tower. Today my co-host is Mr. Michael Render.
Doozy.
And as always, we encourage a listener participation. That means that you can join the conversation. All you have to do is join us right here by calling us at 646-929-2689. Again, that's 646-929-2689. Also, if you're right now, you can also chat with us. Go to blogtalkradio.com/Damond Nollan. I want to give a special thanks to Mr. Darren Tyler for providing our theme song. He calls out you, which reminds me that without you, we would not be where we are today. So thank you so very much for what you do.
You're welcome.
Now, let me turn to the chat room and say hi to those who are walking in right now. I see Mr. Aaron K. White is in the building. What's going on, AK? We also got Mr. Alan Tran in the house. What's going on, Alan Tran? The man.
Yep.
We got Dyslexic in America.
Yo, LL.
That's LL. I want to welcome all of you listening live in an archive. I want to say thank you for what you do, because we appreciate you. Even on this Thursday, after a very important day, I'd like to do something. I'm gonna stop the music right there and ask a question. Mike, what happened?
Mike,
what happened?
Oh no, I wasn't playing.
So last night,
wait. Say that again. Say that one more time now. I wasn't playing. The first time ever. This is a world history turning event. A UNC Tar Heel fan speaking as if he did not lace them up after the game. We did this and we did. I didn't play.
We'll come back to that, Mike.
You're on the bench.
Don't go nowhere. We're coming back to you. Anyway, I want to say welcome all of you to today's show. We are going to talk about a number of things today, and of course, we're going to talk about the secret history of Steve Jobs. What can we uncover about this guy today? I got some new information that may be very interesting to you. Also got some new numbers on those of us who are more like me. You know, those that like to watch television on the internet. I got some new numbers around that.
Okay.
I also want to talk about something. Google just put a smash in Apple's face. I got all that and more in this episode of Room 3026 live. All right, gentlemen. So let me go back to the question. So what happened yesterday? What happened last night? Clearly, yesterday Mike Render came in here dressed up. He
with the Carolina blue jersey.
Carolina blue jerseys on, and today he's wearing a forest green T-shirt. There's no UNC paraphernalia of any kind.
There's no Tar Heel gear.
What happened? What's going on, man?
The game was yesterday.
Okay. So what you're saying is if you would have won today, you would be wearing a different outfit, basically.
No.
You would wear, a Tar Heel hat, maybe a jacket.
Look.
You'd be marching around the room.
In the words of my president, let's be clear. We know that Mike already had a wardrobe plan for today in the event of a Tar Heel victory yesterday.
Yeah.
We know this.
That's not true.
Yeah.
That is not true. I did not have any planned garments to wear bearing Carolina paraphernalia or anything like that.
You may not have had specific clothing items. Oh, but you had a short list.
He would have gone to his closet and said, what of the many blue and white deals can I pull out?
I didn't have any notes taken, or I didn't have any records of any shades I could compliment each other.
I'm having a hard time believing that.
Does anyone believe that? Does anyone believe? Because I think clearly Derek and I are on the same page here. I don't believe it.
I didn't.
But in any case, yes, Duke came in at the last second.
No, they didn't come in.
Right? And shot.
They dribbled in.
They were escorted in.
A very powerful.
Oh wait, so this is the
powerful
is this,
shot.
Is this the hackneyed cliche Tar Heel sour grapes of we let them win?
Yeah,
is that what this is?
No, it wasn't
what it sounds like.
It was
you mean Duke forced himself upon you?
Uncontested attempt of
a
50-50 chance of making the shot.
Gotcha.
That was a 3-pointer.
Okay.
Yeah, uncontested.
That was a Dookie.
That was in your face. And I got a picture of it
in his face. You had to be.
His body was like this.
You had to be close to them to be in their face.
Yeah, that Damon had it right. He's like that Christopher Reeves old school Superman flying folks.
Basically, he's trying to block a shot.
Not quite parallel, but
he was almost there.
Yeah, he was almost
80-20 the parallel.
He like half his upper half of the body was almost there.
Yeah, like
his lower half
a 45-degree angle.
The half that counted wasn't close enough to alter the shot.
You can't stop me when you are almost flying like Superman.
So what do you do when it's laid out for you like that?
You get on the bus.
You make
go
the
home.
Shot. No, man, you make the shot. That's what you do. Home. You make the shot.
All right. Anyway, I do want to say celebration to
Duke.
all of my Duke fans out there.
I'm not so much a Duke fan as I'm an anti-Carolina fan. I make no bones about that.
I am just as strongly against UNC than I am against the iPhone. It's just what happens.
I didn't think about that.
Yes.
That makes sense now.
Yes. It's the way I feel about paying for things.
I get that.
Yes.
Okay. So now there's a sense of cohesion that did not exist for me before. I get that.
Now you know.
Right. Okay.
March 5th, game 2.
Okay. So. Well, hopefully you guys go home and practice.
Yeah. Like defense.
Your defense.
Yeah, like
defend the 3. Come on now.
Yeah, it's not news.
All right.
You're correct about that.
Hey, until they do something different, until they win another way, like until Plumlee, goes strong to the basket and wins the game, I'll say something different.
Merrily we roll along.
Yes, indeed.
I do want to give a quick announcement. Don't forget, the Ignite Raleigh 3 is happening next week. I'm going to be there. That is going to be Thursday, February the 16th, 2012, at the Lincoln Theater in downtown Raleigh. I really want you guys to come on down there. Last year, I think Mike was there with me. Derek, you were there too, weren't you?
I was at the Ignite Durham.
Durham, right.
Yes. The Ignite Raleigh, I have every intention. And the deadline has passed for me for my submissions.
It is? Oh, like you really were hurt.
I'm not hurt. I was...
all that time.
You
just had all that time.
That's okay.
I am now vote too.
I am now ready for the next submission.
I had a vote in this too, because they let me vote on one, and if yours was there, I potentially could have voted on it and brought it up.
I'm ready next. See, I scratched out a Roman numeral kind of outline for the way that I wanted to deliver my.
You got a whole entire week.
I know, but I was still putting it over in my head, so I finally got a title that I could live with. It's called "Grown Folks Are Talking: The Infantilization of Social Discourse and What We Can Do About It."
This is so great. I'm so glad you have it today. You should have had it.
No,
yesterday.
that's what I'm just saying. I've
so
been turning it
great.
over in my head. That's okay. The next one, I'm in as soon as the submissions are available.
You heard it here first, guys.
I'm in. I told you I've been thinking about it since the last time, but I just couldn't get an idea that I felt confident enough about doing this thing. But now I'm good. So and I went like it was after midnight.
Well, I would encourage you guys, if you are in the area, of course, Dyslexic in America, I'm looking at you right now.
That would be really cool to see Leon.
You should come out.
That would be great, because Leon's doing a bunch of things that would be of he could promote one of many entities that he
can't present now, but
I know. I'm just saying,
definitely come out
for next time. This ain't gonna be the last one. I know I'm all for the next one.
Definitely.
Like I said, I got a Roman numeral outline now,
waiting for you.
Well, it's going to have to change up somewhat because after the elections are over, I'm going to have to alter some of my stuff. I'm trying to make it not so political and not so preachy. I'm really talking about how people of differing opinions can talk to each other in such a way that is positive and not so negative like a lot of our discourse has been. Anyway,
so you are coming to this one, right?
Yes,
yeah. It's free. It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah. Plus, I want to see those meddling kids.
Mike Brendan, you gonna come through, man?
Man, I don't know.
What?
I don't know if I'm gonna come through.
Really?
Well, I couldn't do my presentation, man. It only been one slide called Guard the 3. That's all I would have called it. Just Guard the 3. Just one slide. I would talk for 20 minutes.
Man, don't let it.
One slide.
You said what did you say?
Minutes.
March 5th. You have your day. You have your day. So, so are you coming to Ignite Raleigh 3?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear. So that's next Thursday, February 16, 2012, right here at Lincoln Theater in downtown Raleigh. It's entirely free. You don't have to pay for it. If you know how I feel, I don't like to pay.
He ain't trying to pay.
So come early. Come hang out with us. We're going to be there. So hope to see you. Let's jump right on into Feed Watch and let's dig into
Feed Watch.
some good stuff.
Feed Watch. Feed Watch.
Feed Watch.
Yeah. Feed Watch. This is where we constantly comb the blog so that you don't have to.
Constantly? Well, it's consistently.
Sporadically.
We give you the news that you can use because that's what we like to do. So, you best not snooze. You will not lose. Unless, of course, you just enjoy singing the blues.
Not unlike those Tar Heel fans today.
That are definitely singing the blues.
We let them win.
Yes.
We all right.
So, the question I'd like to ask today is how smart do you think Steve Jobs was?
Depends on.
He was smart enough to guard the 3. I bet you he was.
And maybe the better question, and I don't know if grades really speak to how smart someone is.
Did you put Ignite Raleigh in the Outlook calendar?
Did Steve Jobs do that?
No, did you?
Because I don't recall Steve Jobs.
No, I was just
having grades.
No, I put Ignite Raleigh. I went to my phone to put Ignite Raleigh into my.
I don't know what.
I went to.
How did you get to that about Steve Jobs?
I went
to
to
the question.
Well, I went to my. I was in my phone trying to make sure that I had Ignite Raleigh in my calendar, and it was already there. Did you put it in Outlook?
I didn't. I don't know.
Maybe I put it in my Google Calendar already. I don't know. It's hard to tell my Google from my Outlook.
So
from the way my phone is set. I'm sorry.
How smart would you say Steve Jobs was?
It really depends on how you measure intelligence.
Okay. Well, where do you think high school GPAs fall into that question?
That is a really good question. I would imagine not much. I am fairly different in the way that I operate and the way that I deal with people now than I was in high school. A lot of people, their personalities are fully formed. For me, I think, shoot, I'm almost 50. I mean, how do I know how different I am now? I don't even remember, too.
So GPA, now if we look at there's a genius factor, right? Which kind of like there's what is your intelligence factor, your quotient, which we call intelligent quotient, right? The IQ
standardized test.
What that number is compared to what your GPA is. Now I've heard many people say that GPAs don't really reflect how smart you are. Maybe it's just how well you did schoolwork.
Statistically speaking, from the standpoint of higher ed, GPA is not that good of an indicator as to how well you will do in college either, because a lot of kids with substandard GPAs, it wasn't because they weren't smart as much as they were bored. They could care less because they didn't do anything that tweaked them, that inspired them. So I would think, as it relates to this story, Steve Jobs could very have easily had a really poor GPA, and he found his passion as an adult and became an overachiever. How close am I here?
Well, and I like kind of like what I guess is Salahuddin says in the question. Welcome to the show, first of all.
Hey, dude.
First offender. Salahuddin says, the old cliche that identifies the upper management in a boardroom as being the smartest guys in the room.
Yes.
Ratio of mental age to chronological age, that's the IQ. Einstein flunked out of school twice, but yet one of the smartest men, or at least he asked the right questions when it mattered. Well, I do have some numbers. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but the FBI actually did some research on Steve Jobs. I guess when he applied for a job.
That's what they were doing?
That's what they called it.
The FBI.
The FBI has just released a 191-page background check on Steve Jobs that was done back in '91. Jobs, when he was considering a post at the George W. Bush administration, I guess that's the George H. W. Bush administration. And anyway, some of the things we found out from this is that during his years in high school, Homestead High School to be exact, from 1968 to 1972, in which many of us believe our education system was in a really good place, his GPA looked like 2.65, which in the case, for those of you that know, 2.65 is probably close to B's and C's. As a matter of fact, you can find this right now if you want to. You go to, I think it's page 79 in the FBI report. You can actually see this live. You can go to the page and you can see that information there. We also learned some other very valuable information. I don't know how valuable it is to us today, but he did partake in drugs, illegal drugs at that, which included marijuana and LSD while they were in college.
Yes. Shocker.
So I don't know if that makes you any smarter or not, but, you know, here's a guy that clearly lived, right, that lived his life, did okay in school, but not superb. One of the things I remember when I was doing Amway, this is many years ago, they said sometimes it's the C student who ends up leaving school to create a business where the A and B students apply for a job.
Right.
And maybe this is a case of that very thing. There's also another piece of information that we get out of this report. And I'm sure as more and more of us begin to sort of walk through this report, again, it's 191 pages, we see that Mr. Jobs was pretty successful at delegating tasks to people. Matter of fact, someone described him in the report that there were two individuals who were acquainted with Mr. Jobs while they were employed at Apple, and they offered some favorable comments concerning Mr. Jobs. They stated that he was strong-willed, stubborn, hardworking, driven, which they believe is also why he was so successful. They further stated, however, that Mr. Jobs possesses integrity as long as he gets his way. However, they did not elaborate on that. He's a nice guy as long as you do what he tells you to do. But when you go against the grain, it's over.
That's funny because it seems that he has made his bones out of doing just that societally.
Yeah. Well,
how ironic is that?
Yes. So I just wanted to share that with you. I look at the chat room and I see Salahuddin has put out some interesting comments. This education via institutions are mostly meant to dumb people down and make them more tractable, conformists, if you will.
I think that's
interesting.
That's large. I am largely in agreement, but there are exceptions on both sides of the institutionalized education equation. There are some exceptional students which make that system cater to their genius. Einstein is a fine example. And then there are some, say you've got an exceptional teacher within those institutions that choose to deal with you as an individual and not as part of a conformist machine, a socialization machine. There are exceptions on both sides.
The way I look at it, and of course I'm a generalist right now because I'm sure that I see that there are a bunch of exceptions that people are talking about here, but I do feel to some degree, if you looked at the history of our education system, it was to create employees, it was to create workers, right? We educated, we created people to do jobs, and that is essentially where our education system is today. And I think to if you look at some of these great innovators, people who have left our system and created things outside of the box, it is very much for that same reason, is that they are oh, hold on a sec. And I see that thank you,
LL,
Dyslexic in America chiming in, and he has his hand up. Thank you, LL. Let me turn to you, but I will say this as while I'm bringing him on the phone, is to say that once you get outside of that area and you can be creative and innovative and you're not thinking about the confines of your box, I think you can create just about anything you want. The sky's the limit. Let me turn to the phones. I see Leon is on the phone. What's up, man?
Yeah, I was going to say, Steve Jobs was a dyslexic, and to measure a dyslexic in a lateral frame of thought by GPA is almost offensive. And
that is so helpful. That is so insightful. Not and that really adds a third dimension to this idea of the measurement of intelligence. That measurement is not a two-dimensional proposition.
Right, because what happens is lateral thinkers are people you train to be workers, and they see everything step by step. You can't tell a lateral thinker that a cat started at A and ended up at B without telling him the cat ran. All you have to do is tell a dyslexic who's a very global thinker that a cat started at A and ended up at B, and running makes sense. So when you look at people like Steve Jobs, when you look at people like Bill Gates, they see a very global picture, and it's hard for them to communicate with lateral thinkers. So when you take people through school, you train them their whole life how to think like everybody else, and you measure how much you do think like everybody else. But then when you get a job, they want you to be a global thinker.
Exactly, and I would put ADD and some on the early scope of the autism continuum as nonlinear thinkers as well.
Right.
So a lot of these things that are seen as ailments are simply nonlinear thing. You might be interested in this book by a guy named Tom Hartman, which is THOM, and I think it's 2 N's at the end of his name. It's Hunters and a Gatherer's World. The idea where there were in caveman times, there were those linear thinkers who were really good at building up the what passed for cities, but then there were these other nonlinear thinkers who were capable of taking in lots of different stimuli simultaneously, so they would know before the rest of the group when the bear was coming and how to get the heck out of there.
Yeah. All right, that's it. I'm going to
Thank you very much, dude.
Until the side, I just wanted to chime in.
Hey, man, appreciate it. All right, let me use this to switch gears for a moment and bring up another story that's in the news right now.
I love that story.
Well, I like it too. It definitely leads to good conversation, something we may want to explore, right? But one thing I want to move to is something that we talked about last week or the week before that when we were talking about social TV, and that are the numbers for those of us who are cutting our cords.
Real quick, right back to the other. It's called the Edison gene. It talks about Thomas Edison and how he was a nonlinear thinker, and he would have been diagnosed as partially autistic or something like that. Anyway, the Edison gene was the name of the book.
Cool.
When I talked about it earlier, I gave you the subtitle.
Cord cutters. Now, of course, Mike, let me look at you for a second. Are you a cable subscriber?
Yes, because my apartment complex provides it.
Okay. Derek, is DirecTV or you're cable?
I am straight up cable.
Okay. And I am not a cable subscriber as it pertains to the entertainment side, but I do have cable for the internet. And there's some interesting numbers that are coming out now from Nielsen, who did a study on the use of, I guess, internet broadband versus broadcast TV. And there's some interesting numbers that are coming into play here. So coming from TechCrunch today, we have some numbers that basically say that homes that have both broadband internet but only free broadcast TV, which is what I have, we have those things called rabbit ears.
Oh, right.
That have those little balls of tinfoil on the end. I don't know why they do that, but it looks cool.
Do this still work since in the day of digital television?
Well, we do have televisions now that will translate that signal into digital.
See, I had to have a box for mine to do that, and then that television broke. So
the older, it's
and I said screw this. I got a day job, man. I'm getting cable.
The older TVs that we have in the house do have boxes.
Right.
The newer TVs, it already comes inside. But anyway, there is a rise of people who are doing this very same thing that are very much like me. That said, you know what, I'm not going to pay for cable. I'm going to watch what comes on through the broadband or through the broadcast, and whatever else I want to see, I'll watch via the internet. It looks like 5%, which is not a whole lot, but less than 5% of TV households, the number has grown to 22.8% over the past year. In addition, the behaviors within these homes are unique. These broadband broadcast-only households, like mine, stream twice as much as the general population. says Nielsen, as they watch half as much TV. The broadcast-only homes spent 122.6 minutes per day. This is those of us who have the antennas. They watch 122.6 minutes per day watching TV, compared to the cross-platform homes, which is 265.5 minutes. Not surprisingly, then, they stream more video at only, now check this out, 11 minutes. 11.2 minutes is what the average person who has a broadcast television watches per day via the other Netflix, Roku, Wii, Xbox, whatever that may be, versus 5 minutes for the traditional home. So if those of you have cable, you may watch less than that. Overall,
really?
Yes, that's what they said.
That is counterintuitive, you would think.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not so much as the idea that if I can afford $100-200 a month for the cable broadband package, I may not have as much time.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's the only analytics explanation that makes sense to me.
265 minutes per day, and I think a lot of that is going to be commercials. Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Out of every hour, you're spending 20 minutes in commercials. But and give or take, depending upon what channel you're watching. If you're watching like HBO or whatever, I'm sure you get more minutes of that. But
well, and if you do like I do, which is more often than not, just put it on the DVR, and I'm going to fast forward through the commercials, especially being that mostly it's just on as background. Anyway, you know, the Colberts and the Daily Show, which you can get without cable.
Right.
That's stuff that you can do while you're reading your feeds at 1:30 in the morning.
That's true. That's true. I mean, you can definitely do that. I mean, I think for me, definitely, you know, it's one or the other. It's either going to be switching, and they didn't ask me about the laptop, because I watch on laptop, and last night I fell asleep watching Netflix from my phone. So I don't know if they count that or not, but some other interesting analytics that comes along with this, regardless of how many of us choose to watch our television, the majority of TV households, that's 90% of us, still pay for a TV subscription, and roughly 2/3, that's 75.3%, pay for broadband, which is pretty much what I do. And I don't see myself getting rid of that anytime soon, because there will be no other options at this point. Right? I mean, I don't see myself paying for cable again anytime soon, but I definitely don't see getting rid of the internet, because what else would I mean, how else would I get there?
I get that.
So so anyway, that's some interesting information.
But
there.
the more we talk about this, the more I'm beginning to see how my cable is really a luxury.
It is a luxury,
and I could, in theory, get that same value, that same feature, that same service if I just use what I had a little differently.
Little Bites, let me say hi to you first, and also Random Brain Activity, Bob. I think that's Bob H, right?
With the exception of the HBO, yes, correct.
I always forget which one is which, but Random Brain Activities, Bob H, welcome to the show. You too. Also, guest 3209, welcome. But Little Bite says, DVR, some shows won't allow you to fast forward through the commercials anymore. Or I've noticed that they let you fast forward at the minimum speed.
Really? I have not noticed this up to this point. Really?
Yeah, they're getting smarter.
Dude, that will put me one step closer to cutting that cable.
Yeah.
If you take away that feature to which for which I'm paying, I'm closer to gone.
Pew. Well, I know for me, someone called it, I think it's like entertainment gouging or entertainment bulimia. Oh, no, what is the word they used? Essentially, what I like to do is watch a number of shows at once. Right?
So you're binging.
Binging, that's the word they use, yeah. So I typically will watch a number of episodes until I just get sick and tired of doing it, and then I'll go away. And this typically happens on the weekend when I really don't have a lot else to kind of do and it's kind of relaxing. That's when I'll do most of my television watching. During the week, I don't really get much in. But so I do see that I'm not alone, and I felt better about this. Although when I was at that social TV presentation panel discussion, I was the only one on the panel that was cut their cord. Now, if I can get rid of my phone, I would be even better.
I haven't had a landline in years and years and years.
I mean, it's voice over IP, but I still want to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's just not doing me any good. The only people that call me on my landline are those that don't have my cell number, and they don't have it because I didn't want them to have it to begin with. They're trying to sell me something. So.
Right. I really like to get rid of it. It doesn't do good.
The other question I would ask you is, with your current cable vision cutting status, were you in a position to watch the game live? Without having to go to a bar, which is probably
which one?
I was talking about the
Super Bowl.
No, the Super Bowl. I think either one. How about the Carolina Duke game last night?
As far as I know, they were watching it upstairs.
Okay.
I don't know what channel that was on because I wasn't watching it. I just
that's right.
Twitter.
I forgot you. I forgot you had the broadcast. Yeah, that's a good. I forgot about that part.
Yeah, I still get a lot of channels. I get all the big stuff.
Okay, baby,
save some money.
Baby, turn your web radio down for a minute. Turn your web radio up. We have a financial discussion perhaps we need to make.
Well, I do want to say this kind of extends over, and I don't know how you guys feel. And as I look at you guys in the room, we are doing this show live. Now, there are some of you who are listening to it live, right? Now, of course, we don't have too many commercials in this show, but then there are some of us who listen on an archive.
Right.
I would love to get your input on the version. Now, see, there was a comment that Bob H. just asked. He says, there's very little that I'm interested in enough that I will stop down to watch it live. But yet you guys are here today listening live.
There it is.
I would love to get your thoughts on that.
And there are those of, I'll mention The Wire in particular. There have been others that I scheduled my life so that I would be there when that next episode was there because I was so pulled into the story. That it's rare that I care that much,
right.
But there is the possibility of content being that compelling to me. Yeah. I look forward to the next time that happens, but like Bob H, Bob H, I'm hard pressed. Other than a live sporting event, I'm having a hard time seeing it.
Yeah. So I'd like to know if you guys are watching or listening live. Tell me why you prefer live, and if you're listening in archive, email me at DamonNollan@gmail.com. Let me know the preference and kind of how you consume it. All right, let me take this opportunity to take a break, if you will, and let's do a daily booth. That means let's pull out your cameras real quick, and let's see what you guys are doing. Daily booth, daily booth, daily booth. All right. Daily Booth is where we go to take pictures. It's a free website. You can go there right now. It's www.dailybooth.com. You can pull out your webcam. You can pull out your cell phone, or you can just upload a picture, whatever is easiest for you. And once you do, share that picture with us right here in the chat room. And if you're listening on an archive show, you can always follow us. Let me know. Go to dailybooth.com and /Damond Nollan, and let me know you're a listener, and we'll follow you back. All right. Now, Mike Render, I see you're pulling out your camera right now. I'm assuming that means that you do have a picture. I see. First of all, as I go to the place, I see Ebony B has taken a picture, and she goes, "Hey, go Duke." Mike Render, was that a house divided? Are you suggesting to me that there were two of you both wearing opposite sides gear in the house? OMG. That should be a question that you have to ask. Like, before this relationship moves any further, and I need to know.
And I was fooled.
What side of the board are you on? My side or their side?
And see, this is another thing that bothers me.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of Duke fans got created yesterday, because that was a conversation that we had when we met, and I was like, you watch basketball? Yeah, I watch basketball. So who you root for?
You didn't ask. That's a question you got to ask.
They said, I don't root for either. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's all right. You don't have to root for nobody. But then the day of the game, all of a sudden, you a Duke fan. So
yeah,
I guess that's
it's
how
fun.
It
it's fun to be on the opposite side of you, though.
Of me?
Yeah, like, what side are you picking? Oh, well, I'm picking another side. Mike Render shares a picture as well. He says, with his very sad face, We lost. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. I really am. I feel bad for you.
Yeah, man, it's messing up my whole rest of the week.
Oh man, it's horrible. So anyway, feel free to post your picture when you get it, and we'll take a look at it, and also we'll follow you if we haven't already done so. All right, y'all. Let's move on. Let's talk about Kodak, the camera people. You know,
Polaroid.
Kodak, the camera people. Coming from Engadget, this year has not been kind for the Kodak people. Last month, the photography pioneer announced that it was filing for bankruptcy and suing Samsung, incidentally. And now the company has let it be known that it will be dropping out of the digital camera business and then some, marking an end to its line of digital point-and-shoots, pocket camcorders, and digital photo frames. Production will end the first half of this year, and the future for the company will be with printers, brand licensing, enterprise services, and photo labs. Kodak will, however, continue to honor warranties on existing products. I can't say that I'm surprised, and I'm not certain that I would have. I can tell you right here and now, the only camera that I think I've ever owned would be a Canon. That's probably the only one I know I've owned that I've purchased. That doesn't count for those little cheap cameras that you buy at the grocery store for
Walgreens.
Yeah. But I'm not really surprised. I mean, I think Kodak, for the most part, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that just a film company for many years? Or am I getting that wrong?
No, you got it right.
Like there was like Polaroid, right? Then there was like Kodak, and then was there another one? And we're going back on this because I mean, how many of us actually take pictures anymore with film?
I think maybe I'm the only one in this room old enough to remember Brownie.
Yeah, I don't know anything about
a little brown box, and that might very well have been a line of cameras made by Kodak. It was a little box, and it was brown. And let me see.
But is there a different film company that I haven't named yet?
Polaroid,
Polaroid,
Kodak. I think Brownie.
Fuji film. That's Fuji. Well, yeah.
Yeah, but Fuji came in. Came in.
That was like
by the time Fuji. By the time Fuji got here, it was the late '80s. Kodak was on its way down. They just was unable to adjust to the change. But Polaroid and Kodak were the only American companies.
Well, anyway, Kodak is on its way out right now, so I guess the biggest thing, they're on their way out. So
they've already
they're filing for bankruptcy. They're selling off their stuff. We're no longer going to be doing and I think that's wise. I mean, let's be honest. One of the biggest things about business is you have to learn how to be the best at something, right? You have to learn how that if you can't be the best at something, that you should get out of the game. That's what I heard. In my years of reading some of these articles, is get out of the game, and I think this might be a good move for them. You know, who else is gonna do printers and brand licensing and enterprise services and photo labs?
But if you was making cameras, like how do you drop the ball of like, why aren't you the first to make the push digital cameras?
But were they cameras?
Like
but were they cameras?
Well, I'm
though?
just saying, if they were,
I mean, if they were good at doing film and that was their thing, and then one day they said, you know what? Just like Amazon, we're going to get into another product, or like Barnes and Nobles, they're going to get into another product. Fujifilm, as Derek pulls up a list. Kodak, which
this
I see
is from
here.
Wikipedia. I just went to
Polaroid,
photographic film on Wikipedia.
I don't know too many other ones. I guess Kodak,
Mitsubishi
for film clearly makes sense to me.
Cars, TVs, everything.
Like half of this list of maybe
Minolta,
15 company.
But that was a camera company, right? Minolta.
It's hilarious.
This is specifically photographic film in theory, anyway.
Well, I guess that's my point.
There's a list of about 15 companies, and about half of them are either discontinued, bankruptcy, or stock limited.
I've never heard of Lomography. Aaron White puts that in. He's a photographer, so I trust that he knows what he's talking about.
But Ilford, I remember Ilford.
I never heard of that one. I wasn't willing to pay for film if I didn't have to, which is one of the reasons why I went to digital.
Ain't trying to pay,
because I didn't have to keep buying film and then having to get it developed, which was the thing I hated. I probably still have film in my house that I never developed because I was like, dude, seriously?
It just never made it to the stuff.
Yeah, it's like I'm just not willing to pay any more money to get these pictures done. And then to realize later on that you didn't even like the picture to begin with.
I know your finger was in the way.
You're like, man, this sucks.
The flash didn't work.
Yeah. So anyway, Kodak is on his way out. I think this is going to be good for them. Focus on what you're good at, right? Be good film people and lab developers, and just move on. But here's something interesting, and this is really my stab at iPhone. And for those that love iPhone,
that never happened.
Yeah, it's just my little take that. So Google, this comes from Mashable. Google says, I want to cut out of every iPhone. Now pay me. As a matter of fact, I want 2.25%. Now this comes on the back of their spending.
If I were on the other end of that request, the reason that I wouldn't say go do something untoward to yourself would be what?
Well, you remember that time when Google spent $12.5 billion to purchase Motorola Mobility?
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
I do not.
Well, yeah.
They had to pay.
Remember, they had to pay for that.
They had to pay.
Oh, yeah, I do
and you
remember that.
Remember those patents that these companies own?
Oh, those
You mean those
patents.
ones?
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Google's willing to rack up some money now. This says, no. Continue to sell the iPhone, please. I actually want you to. But because we now own Motorola Mobility, and we also own now the patents for some of these things that you are currently using within your iPhone, we would like to
give it up.
We'd like to get a 2.25% cut of every iPhone that you sell. And by the way, we sent a letter to your lawyers to make sure that you make that happen sooner than later. So just in case you didn't know, that new iPhone 4S that you guys are rocking and doing really well, I'd like a cut out of that.
Please give me.
And I don't even think they said please. I think they said
you gonna do it.
Maybe, damn it.
I'd like that in I'd like that in $1 bills, please.
Mother sucker.
Unregistered. And I want it delivered to my house. So I just thought that was funny. I just thought that was really an interesting little take that very much like I think what they're doing is what Microsoft is doing to Google, to Android, saying, oh, so you want to cut of what I got? Okay, well, I'm going to get it from somebody else then. I'm going to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's pretty good. The Rap is in the house right now. That's Ryan Bowles. Also, Tim Arthur is here. What's going on, gentlemen? Aaron says, I demand $2 for every other word you speak on this show.
Nice.
I said, yeah. So you have to put that in writing somewhere. But this is funny. Google's gonna, pimp slap iPhone and Apple. And in other news, and this is related. See, this is just my little poke at iPhone and Apple. It's because I can. Whenever I see news that goes against Apple and iPhone, I just got to share it with you guys. But you do realize that Galaxy in Germany, that would be Samsung, the Galaxy Tab 10.1. They could not sell that device in Germany because Apple put a suit against them to say you can't sell here. Well, the German
Google is following suit with a couple of similar.
Yeah, so you want to do so that how you want to treat me? That's okay. I got you. But German court just ruled. It says no. They can continue to sell their Samsung Galaxy Tab in our country as you were. Continue. Just wanted to share that little stab with you. So for all of you out there, enjoy. Mike, how does that make you feel? Aaron K. White says, I've contacted Blog Talk Radio lawyers, and they agree.
Well, since when do we have lawyers?
Well, we have lawyers.
Oh, yeah.
But we are partners with Blog Talk Radio, and they are on our side now. I do want to give a shout out again. I know we talked about it earlier, but I definitely want to give a shout out. Since now that I can speak about these things. See, this is the thing. I want to speak about it. I have to get permission to speak. I had to make sure my lawyer will approve it.
You're not speaking out of
Ryan Boyle, our leader, has announced in the chat room that we now have 15 Ignite Rally speakers, and you can actually go right here to see all those speakers.
Is one of them called Guarded 3?
No, and that's because you didn't put one in, but it could have been there. There is a link here. You can go actually to see who those speakers are. Just go to IgniteRally.com. Again, that's IgniteRally.com to see which of the 15 speakers will be there that night. And I actually had an opportunity, thankfully, Ryan and the rest of the team let me vote, to pick one of those. And, of course, knowing me, it's all about time management. And there was a really good one out there that I liked that will deal with that, how to really maximize your life, how to live life. And I don't have the title in front of me, but it is going to be an outstanding evening. So you don't want to forget that at all. So anyway, and see what else they're saying. The special snowflake strike back. So it turns out I have superpowers, and so do you. 7 reasons why writers are, a-holes. Sliders and Sam Adams. Be memorable. What I learned from mixing Manhattans at 106 miles per hour.
Oh. Manhattan is a fine drink.
These are, by the way, topics that we voted on or were voted on. Playing nice in the sandbox, the triangle, Silicon Valley, Bombay, and Beijing. Today's teen, friend, foe, or antichrist. Infinity in 5 minutes. Fuzzy quantum pop.
What?
Fringe. Yeah, right. Fringe sports and odd pursuit. Life. This is the one I voted on here. Lifestyle design and the currency of the new rich. I like that one. 11 things.
You would like that one. That sounds like.
Yeah, the currency of the new rich. I like that. 11 things you should know about Riley. Changing the way we think about money. I want to hold your hand. I like the way we think about money. So let's change that. Let everything be free. The thriving NC craft beer community and Sierra Nevada's expansion to the state.
I'm a Sierra Nevada fan, and there was a craft beer talk at the last one. I wonder if this is similar, and in what ways it'll be similar, and what ways it'll be different. That one I'm very curious about. I'm a craft beer fan.
Sliders and Sam Adams. I'm hungry.
Not Sam Adams is not a craft beer,
but still, yeah, it's tasty.
It is tasty. All right, let me change gears real quick and let's do blog roll.
Roll in.
With the POCs.
With the hops and the malts of the posts.
Beer.
Speaking of beer,
I had some last night.
Come drink some tonight with me at the Casbah in Durham. It's early, so I won't be late for work tomorrow.
Well, that's good. Blog Rolls, I'm going to take a look at what you guys are writing, what you're putting out there into the blogosphere.
Click the link. Click the link.
We have 2 stories today, and both of them come from yours truly. Today, I have one. This is the historical overview of Kappa Alpha Psi from my blog.
Yo.
DamondNollan.com. You can go there now. As a matter of fact, it's right there. It's the latest one. But what I wanted to do, and I've talked about this darn dissertation for far too long. And thankfully, I have been given the okay to change my organization.
Really? Because I've been sending you links
about the Boy Scouts, but I've changed my organization to my fraternity instead to look at the organizational commitment of those who are volunteers in the fraternity.
So far, sneak peek. Like, what have you came up with, or what are you leaning towards?
I think the overall, I think as far as the study itself,
right.
I mean, that hasn't changed for me. There's still really good information about that. But in changing the organization from Boy Scouts to a fraternity, I get to look at what I originally wanted to look at, and that is what happens during your induction process. When we train you during and afterward, does that have any value in keeping or creating committed members? Right.
Okay.
And obviously, if you can figure out what that is, if it is something we're doing, or if it's something that we're doing before and after, something that we just find as members, we'll figure that out, and then we as managers can make those decisions to do a better job of training, if that's the case, or finding better people from the very beginning, or a combination of the two. So that's kind of where this is going. So anyway, I just wanted to share that one with you. And I have one other one, and this one here is called Brainstorming a Professional Mentoring Program at Work. You know, there's probably a trend here as I think about this, and that is the whole mentoring concept, right? The concept that at our very job here, we got some really smart people who have done amazing things, whether they were working at a Fortune 500 company or whether they worked at places like IBM, for example, for many years. I'd want to know, what can we learn from those people and how to move up the corporate ladder? What are some of those lessons that we can learn from that? And so in this one, I wanted to put together a mentoring program here at North Carolina Central University. And here are some of my initial thoughts on how we could do that. Don't know if it's ever been done. I know in these large companies, they have huge programs with big budgets and they can afford that. But for some of us who don't have a budget, is it possible to create a program? So anyway, check out those two links there. You can see those, and I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Have you done that before? Yes, and Aaron K. White, I had one, but I checked your link earlier and it didn't work for me, so I don't know what it is, but you do have one. Let me see if it comes up to me now. I went there earlier and the link was broken. It says, how POW saved my Ruby on Rails education.
Oh.
And I almost said POW at first when I first saw it. I was like, how does POW save my, but how POW?
How POW? Brown cow.
It's a development environment for Rails on apps called POW. POW is a zero configuration rack server for the Mac OS X. It makes developing Rails and rack applications as frictionless as possible.
Racks on racks on racks.
On racks on racks.
Man, I gotta talk to AK Dub about something.
Okay, well, do talk to him. I want you guys to go check out my boy Aaron K. White and go to aaronkwhite.com. That's aaronkwhite.com. Check out his latest story, how POW, Kung Pao, saved my Ruby on Rails education. Thank you, sir, for sharing that with us.
Indeed.
And next time I click on the link, make sure it works.
And make it big like you did the other one. It helped.
You are too funny, man. All right, let me jump back to two final stories before we get out of here. The first one that we have is Google finally is getting ready to release their cloud storage in the coming weeks. This comes from Gizmodo. Google Drive is what some people are calling it. But according to the Wall Street Journal, Google is even closer than ever to launching the company's cloud-based storage service, which will compete with services like Dropbox.
Now, just as a
Apple's iCloud.
As an aside, you can download applications and executable files that make your Android, iPhone, and/or desktop connect to your Google Docs and behave in exactly the same way. You have to have the software on from the client side, but as a point of fact, Google Docs is already serving as that type of application for many of us.
Well, that's pretty much what I was going to say next, is to say I don't really know what's going to change because I can put just about everything in there and get to it from my phone.
My money says that the only difference is they're going to develop the apps and a web-based interface for the client side, so we don't have to download somebody else's stuff.
All right. So I will say that
instead of the third-party apps that currently exist,
there is going to be a free version. We're talking about Google, so there will be a free version. I'm sure there will be.
We're talking about Damond. So if this was a pay-only thing, you wouldn't be hearing about it here.
Yeah. I try to look out for you guys. Okay,
you got that kind of love for us.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I wouldn't do anything that I wouldn't ask you guys to do.
Oh, okay.
Or I wouldn't ask you guys to do something that I wouldn't do. To put that the other way. But anyway, there is a free option.
I'm feeling the love, man. I'm feeling the free love.
Yeah. There will be a paid option for those of you who want to go a little bit more. You pay for the services, the features you want, as Derek likes to say.
E.g. the extra space, I would assume.
Yeah. So I just want you to be aware of that. Again, I don't have any other information at this point in time about how much data you can store. I don't know how much it's going to cost. I don't know any of that details right now. But do know that it's coming very, very soon. Personally, I'm going to continue to stick with Google Docs as it is because it pretty much does everything I need it to do. Right. I was looking at Box.net yesterday, and I can't say that I was so impressed, really. It's kind of like, oh, okay.
There's lots of things that it won't do.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, cool. And Mike, you actually made a comment the other day. I mean, you use Google Docs for some of your own work.
Yeah.
You used to walk around with a hard drive.
No, I don't.
And now you don't have to. Anything you want to work on, you can put it in Google Docs, come to work, do it,
and then
come back,
put it back,
and go back home and continue your work. So
pretty much.
Yeah.
And for my Mac, I don't have any word processing software, so I use Google Docs to create documents.
There you go.
So,
yeah. So that's good stuff. Now let me talk briefly about some other information. We talked earlier about Steve Jobs in a report that the FBI put together. Now let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg. That would be the CEO and founder, creator, extraordinaire, innovative thinker, out of the box guy, who I don't think he ever finished Harvard, did he? I think he went to school, or wherever he went to school, and then he didn't finish.
Correct.
Okay.
If as memory serves, anyway.
It's from what I remember, right? But anyway, I have numbers on what his salary looks like based upon his IPO information that they submitted. Is anyone interested in knowing how much he made?
Paul? Only
you want to take
marginally.
A guess? Take a guess. How much money do you think he's making? I don't know, salary-wise.
His reported net, gross, what?
I don't know, just throw a number out there.
Let's say 50 mil. That's
okay.
Probably high.
50 for a salary?
Yeah.
I'm not saying how much he's worth.
I'm talking about what he reported. I don't know. 50, that might be between his net and his gross. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just guessing.
So how much do you think that comes out to a month?
Yeah. I don't know.
So you think $50 million a year is what he's making? Mike,
yes.
What say you? What do you think his salary is?
Yes.
Steve Jobs' salary.
What was his salary? Nothing? $1?
See, it depends on whether you count his dividends, or because some CEOs will give themselves a $1 salary and just take the stock dividends and use that as their salary because it is taxed at the Mitt Romney rate, which is why it is the Mitt Romney rate.
That's a good point. Well, let me give you the number. It is $500,000 is his salary.
Per month?
I'm going to assume a year. Let's assume that that's a year.
500,000, half a mil?
Yeah.
That is, I was off by a factor of 100.
Hooray! In addition to that $500,000, he also gets a 45% bonus.
There it is.
Of his base salary.
Therein could be the difference between that off by a factor of 10 and closer to reality.
Right. And the COO, Sheryl Sandberg, makes $300,000. I'm going to assume that's a year. So there's probably a perk to sort of running your own show, if you will. But let me.
Stock options and bonuses is where the real money comes in.
Hey, if you can do it, man, all power to you. Don't forget to hire your boy.
I ain't hating. I appreciate you.
Anyway,
60 seconds.
Let me welcome and say thank you to Aaron K. White, Alan Tran, DB Funky, Dyslexic in America, Guest 3528, Little Bites, that's Marianne, Random Brain Activity, The Rab, that's Ryan Boyles, Tim Arthur, and all of you listening live in an archive. Thanks again for hanging out with us today. Don't forget, we're here every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on blogtalkradio.com/Damond Nollan. Also, if you haven't, you can get the higher quality version over there on youtube.com/Damond Nollan. You can follow us online. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. And if you like the show, like it, follow it. That way you can stay connected with us. Anyway, it's going to do it for us. Have a wonderful Thursday. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Mike Renner, take us out of here.
Deuces.
10 seconds.
Deuces.
Go Tar Heels.